What a great song to get things going. Hey, good morning, and welcome to another episode of M-Files Quick Tips. My name is David Anderson. I'll be your trainer this morning. In this session, we're going to be talking about user settings. Now, this is a two-part session, and today we'll be covering the part one of a two-part series. What are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about figuring out that if you have the current version of M-Files, where you can go to find that. Then we're going to take a look at some of the user settings. Under the Home tab, you actually can control, when you open up M-Files, what area you start in M-Files. That's pretty cool, and I'll show you how to set that. The default tab for objects. This is where you will actually control something where you go from object to object. So instead of having it left off where you were before, you can force it to a certain view. Pretty nice. Then we're going to talk about notification settings. Very, very powerful area inside of M-Files where this can control your notifications that you're receiving. And you can create some as well. With workflows inside of M-Files, there's a time where you have to go on vacation, or maybe you want to do it more often. But at that time, you need somebody to pick up your workflow inside of M-Files. That's done with substitute users. We'll take a quick look at the availability to change to a different language. Let us get started. Okay. So inside of M-Files, oops, bring that up. There we go. Okay. So right here inside of M-Files, you are going to go to find out your current version here in the upper right-hand corner. And this is where you would also log out. Now, if you click here once, you're going to see some of your choices. The first one is about M-Files. When you click on this, it lets you know what version of M-Files you have. I have M-Files Online, so I'm getting my updates automatically. The next thing is the version number. We see 23.10 along with some other numbers. Let's talk about the numbers that we see here. The first one, or the first two, I should say, 23. That's telling you the year. So when we're in 2023, that's a good sign. The next two numbers, the 10, tells you the month. So in this case, we're in the year 2023 and the month of October. M-Files rolls out their updates towards the end of the month. So when I'm looking at early December, I should have a 23.11 and some numbers for my version number. That will let you know that you have the current version. I'm going to click OK there. Our next item is talking about some of these user settings. So I'm going to go back up here again. User settings. This time I'm going to visit the Home tab. Notice right now it's set to all. What that means is when I start M-Files, when I take a look at the far left screen of M-Files, you'll see the navigation choices. I have all recent assigned, checked out, and pinned. Those correlate to the choices I have here. Whoops. Now this time I'm going to select recent. So when I open up M-Files, it's going to start with the recent tab. So let me select that. I get a confirmation screen that I changed my choice. I'm going to close M-Files. I'm going to reopen M-Files. I'm now starting on the recent tab in navigation. Pretty cool. Okay, so under user settings, let's move to our next item. Default tab for object. Notice that it is sitting at automatic. What does that mean? Let me show you. So when you select an object, so in this case, I have a vendor object selected, vendor invoice. I'm going to click preview. Let's assume the next objects I click on, I don't want a preview, I just want the metadata card. When I click on this James Kirk, it holds my selection from before. That is automatic. Now, if I did not want that, or if I did, or I can force it to do what I want it to do. So if we go back here, instead of leaving it as automatic, I'm going to select metadata and preview. So no matter how I leave something, it will always give me that. So I'm going to click on that. Now to make that choice happen, I'm going to close out of MFiles, open MFiles back up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on James Kirk. I'm going to close my preview because remember, I want it to always give me the metadata card and preview. So now when I click on invoice, it won't be automatic. It will give me the metadata card along with the preview, and we saw that change. So that's that forced reaction instead of automatic. Pretty slick. I'm going to click on James here for a second. Let's go back up here to our user settings. So we've covered the Home tab. We've covered default tab for object. Now let's talk about notification settings. Before I go into the notification settings, I want to point out a very simple one that is available to you. On the James T. Kirk metadata card, I have a flag. When I select that, I basically selected a notification. And this will give me a notification if something were to change. Now, when I go up here and take a look at that notification, we're going to make a change to it. You'll see here's the one that I'm following. I'm going to select it and I'm going to click on edit. A lot of information, and I'm going to go through this, and I'm also going to give you a reference to go into greater detail explaining these choices. When I take a look at the events down here at the bottom, I want to add one. I want to say that the state of the document or other object changed. So I'm going to mark that box. Now down at the very bottom, for demonstration purposes today, I'm going to make changes and I want to see those changes. I want to get a notification on the changes I make. That is very odd. You'll more than likely always want to have this marked so that you're not getting notified of changes you make. But for demonstration purposes, I'm going to unmark that so we will be notified of changes I make. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to click OK. And now in James Kirk, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move them actually back. I'm going to say review application. I'm going to click OK. So I'm moving them back in the workflow and I'm going to say click save. So a change happened to him. That triggered a notification that is being sent out by MFiles admin, or excuse me, being sent out by the MFiles administrator, not administrator, but admin, apologize, going to your email and you'll receive a notice in your email inbox, and that will appear in a moment. Let's set up another notification here. I'm going to go up here, go to user settings, notification. Now notice I have the capability of clicking add. This one's going to be a little more complicated. So I'm going to select add, and I'm going to call this one Pictures by Mike Larson. Okay. Notice this part's grayed out. I'm not the system administrator, so any rule I create is just for me. The system administrator can create common rules for everybody. Down here, I will want it to be I will want to be notified when the event occurs. So I'm going to get a separate one for each event. Now I'm going to come back to this define filter. Let's check the boxes for the things that we want to be notified for. I want to be notified for a new document, document change, a state or object change. I don't think that applies for that. I think that is good. I'm not going to mark this box because I want to be notified because I'm going to actually trigger the event. When you're setting this up, you will want to mark that box because you want to know what other people are doing. I'm going to click OK. Click OK. So now I have a rule set up for notification. So let's cause the rule to, or the notification to happen. So I'm going to go to my Windows Explorer. I have a picture here of two dogs. I'm going to add this to mfiles. This notice is just letting you know it's going to try to do OCR. I'm going to skip that because it is a picture. I'm going to say the class of this is picture. Taken by Mike Larson. The rating, we'll give it a 6. Oh, they're pretty cute. We'll give it a 7. I'm not going to print it. And we're good. I'm going to click on, we'll add a keywords here. We'll say 2 dogs. There we go. And click on create. That triggered now another notification that will be coming to my email. Now let's see here. Did I make sure I got that one set up correctly for that's good. Okay. And let's go back to that. James T. Kirk, I did move him backwards. Let's go ahead and move him forward in the workflow. There we go. Okay, so let's go to my email. So now a new object, and this is the notification for the 2 dogs picture. And what's nice here is I do have the capability of seeing and going right to the file by clicking on these hyperlinks within inside of the email. Now, in just a moment, we'll see that other notice come through for James T. Kirk. So we'll give that just a moment. There it is. So we made a change to the, looking at the right one. A change, yep. Oh, there we go. And then we got the application change state. Okay, perfect. Those are the notifications that we are anticipating. I'm going to minimize this. Continue on with our next item. Let me click all here. Back to the home screen. Go up to our logout information area. Click once. User settings. We're going to talk about substitute users. This is where you can actually designate somebody to take over your workflow when you're gone. It's as simple as clicking add, making the selection. Now they will get notified when anything comes to you, whether it's a workflow item or notification. All you have to do is say, I'll finish out today, pick up tomorrow when I'm gone. When you come back, you select the individual and remove, and now they are not going to get those notifications. Just that simple. The last item to talk about under user settings is change of language. You have a lot of choices. Wow. Quick note here with the language change, it changes the interface language. The documents within your vault, you would need to make changes to those. I'm going to leave mine English. That covers today's quick tips. What I want to do at this point is I want to open it up for any questions that we may have. Do we have any questions today, Tracy?
Yeah, we do have a couple, and as a reminder, if anything else comes to mind, feel free to put it into the WebEx chat, and we'll take some time here at the end to continue answering them. The first two questions that came through, Dave, is coming back to the version. So as you looked in your environment, it appeared that you were running the latest version. What do the numbers behind the month, so behind 10 in this scenario, what is there any relevancy to needing to know that?
Actually, great question. For the end user, there's no need to know that unless there is a patch or something issued where mFiles wants to make sure that you get the latest patch update. mFiles uses those additional numbers if they're working on different versions before the release so that they can identify which version they want to release. They also become important if a patch is necessary, and that would come between the releases that happen on a monthly basis. Did that answer their question?
I believe so.
Perfect.
Onward to the second one, back to notifications. So you had gone through options to be able to set private notifications by that user. And then also, as you see in here, there are global, we'll call them admin notifications, such as the generalized assigned to me. Is there any way for an end user to control notices if they feel they're getting too many, or are certain things locked in this area that they don't have control over?
Great question. When you're dealing with the global notifications, you would need to talk to your system administrator if you want to back down on some of those notifications. The ones that are marked, as you mentioned here, private, those are ones that you can actually monitor. I do not recommend, even though you have the capability of turning off your notifications.
Perfect. That is all of the questions that I see currently, Dave, in queue.
Okay, great. Let's wrap things up then. As always, if you do have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to our software at marconet.com or give us a call. We're here to help you. At the end of today's webinar, please take a moment and fill out the evaluation. Let us know how we did. Give us some ideas for some additional topics. The QR code that you see in front of you, if you scan this with your smartphone, it will take you to our events page at Marco, where you can register for the next webinar that will happen December 19th, and this will be part 2 of the mFiles user settings. I'd like to thank you for attending today's webinar. Have a great day.